Sunday night football, we get the 6-4 Bucs heading to LA to face the 8-2 Rams. Can they get back in the win column, and how are they going to hold up against this LA defense? Welcome back to the BetCanada channel. I'm Katie Caldwell, back with Jeff Lloyd. Jeff, let's start on that side of the ball. What do we expect to see from this Tampa offense? It sounds like there's a chance Bucky Irving could be returning, and based on how this Rams defense is looking, the Bucs can use all the help they can get right now.
Yeah, that's the thing, and this is probably where it's a little bit disheartening for Tampa Bay. The offense actually did look pretty good in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Josh Allen just certainly had other ideas this past Sunday. So that's where if you're Tampa, it's a weird scenario. But the other thing for Tampa is you're in a very difficult scenario now where, you're not just cruising along anymore here in the
Hmm.
NFC South. All of a
Exactly.
sudden, Carolina has kind of decided to step up and make things a tad bit interesting. It will
Hmm.
come down to Tampa Bay, in Carolina, and yeah, I feel well for Tampa Bay there, but it'd be tough for Tampa to lose some of these games because they're a first place
Yeah.
schedule and they're playing more difficult teams than Carolina is, and they maybe have that basically where they're in a position where they don't get to control their own destiny.
Hmm.
And to have to come back and do this against a Rams team where the defense is really kind of getting hot here.
Yes.
We know, I mean, if you want to use common opponent, we saw Tampa and we saw Seattle. Obviously, there's something certainly to go with off there. But
Mm.
now, of course, we have Tampa and the Rams. And this is another tough benefit here for Tampa Bay. Not only did they get a first place schedule, one of the divisions they drew to play was the NFC West, which has been an extremely
Mhm.
competitive division this year.
Yes.
So, there are no like homecoming games for Tampa Bay at all this year. They are working in, week out against difficult opponents.
Mhm.
The Rams, I think the thing that's really become impressive for them is they've been able to get after the quarterback all year long. But now, this past week, and what they did to Sam Darnold, if they're going to be able to start to create a decent amount of turnovers, you're not going to expect four again. And
Right.
Baker, at times, has certainly been a quarterback that, can get a little, thinks more with his than his brain and will just throw. And as much as you love that type of thing, it does at times possibly lead to some mistakes. So this is
Mhm.
certainly a huge one for Tampa in a situation where you don't think it's the easiest of situations.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. Let's move to the other side of the ball. So, as we've talked about, you and I, Jeff, so many times, the Rams can beat you in so many ways. The Bucks just don't have that pass rusher right now that can create havoc. How does this Todd Bowles defense keep them in it?
I guess, and it's a really tough spot because normally, you can't just say, "Oh, we'll take away the pass game." And in this
Mhm.
situation, the last thing you want to do is sell out to stop the Rams' run because
Right.
who wants to have more snaps against Cooper Cup, Devontae Adams, Matthew Stafford throwing the ball, all that type of stuff. It'd be nice if they could get some semblance of a consistent pass rush. That's
Mhm.
really one thing that's probably holding Tampa back here. When and look, we went by record, we went by how they looked. We were extremely high on Tampa. The record was great. They were winning games with ease. They were winning games that people didn't expect them to win. But
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, and it's not all on the offense and the fact that they are missing hopefully for this week they get one back, but missing three key playmakers for a consistent
Mhm.
amount of this season. They just don't have the defensive difference maker. And that is one thing that this team is probably going to be all out in search for, whether it's going to
Mhm.
be from the interior or it's going to be from the exterior. They need this guy that can be the double digit sack guy, a guy that can just kill a drive at a moment's notice, turn 2nd and 7 into 2nd and 18 or 3rd and 8. Quarterback doesn't get the ball off, get sacked, that type of stuff. So, and you can't press coverage. Well, as long as they cover really well, it's really hard to do against the guys they're going to be defending. So the thing here is probably going to hopefully be the offense can carry them, and they're going to have to
Mhm.
play some really stingy cover two, cover three type of stuff, keep everything in front of them, and cross fingers that it can lead to more field goals than it can lead to touchdowns.
Quick pause. If you haven't subscribed to the BetCanada YouTube channel, you can do so below. It's free and it helps support our channel so we can keep bringing you NFL and NHL content. Now, back to the show. The Bucks have been such a fun team all season, but I feel like we've started to see the injuries really start to catch up with them. But as you alluded to, they were still alive against the Bills until the very end. I think there were 9 or 10 lead changes in that one. How can they try and exploit this Rams secondary? Because I don't think there's a lot of vulnerabilities on this Rams defense, but that might be their weakest spot. How do you see that matchup?
Yeah, I think a lot of people see the 4 interceptions last week and all of a sudden, maybe hype up that Rams secondary a little bit more than it
Yeah.
is. Sam just had an off day, unfortunately, and it happens to everybody. I think if you were Baker and you were that Tampa offense, And, it's weird because, everybody thought Emeka Egbuka was gonna be a great, great player, but the need for Emeka Egbuka with Tampa Bay just came so quickly and delivered for the most part
Yes.
early on. But now it's gonna be one of those things for Ibuka where they've adjusted to you. Now, where are you
Mhm.
going to adjust to the defense and hopefully start giving back that same production that you were giving earlier in the year that was vital to Tampa Bay's success? He was basically giving them what Mike Evans was not.
Mhm.
Now they're not really getting the same thing. And then once you get past Mbuka, you're talking about guys that really were not even supposed to be in the wide receiver rotation this year.
Yeah.
Bucky Irving could be key here because Tucker was so effective last week. And if you can get Irving, and even if it's, a smaller sample size, but just to get him on the field, and even if he's not getting the ball, you know
Mhm.
what? Tucker's in the backfield. I'll motion Irving out and I'll put him as a slot receiver. No intention to do anything with him there other than just to make the defense think about it. And I'm going to try to do some of the same stuff I did with Sean Tucker the last week. Eye
Mhm.
candy, stuff to make somebody have to take a responsibility for something, which would be one more thing away from the guy who's actually going to get the ball. So I think for Tampa, you're in a scenario now where it's trying to run some personnel, trying to run some formations that involve just your five overall best.
Mm.
It's crunch time here. You don't
Yes.
have to necessarily get caught in, we want 3 wide receivers on the field. Well, if his sole purpose is to try to get the ball to Mbuka or a tight end or a running back underneath, then maybe we don't necessarily need to play the guys who are technically wide receiver 5 and wide receiver 6, just so we say we have the wide receivers on the field. If Irving and Tucker are 2 of your better playmaking options, hell, and even Rashad White, if we're being honest right now,
Yes.
let's get creative because you wanna know what? By doing this, the Tampa hasn't done this. So there is no film. There is no tendency for the Rams to go off of, or the Rams guys to say, oh, well, they went this, so we adjust to this, or we adjust to this coverage. If you're going to try to be creative, you're going to try to be new, that is the best way to maybe have some success here because this late in the year, everybody's seen your 10 games. They know
Yes.
what you got. So pulling somebody, a rabbit out of the hat here is probably a really smart scenario for Tampa and basing it off of, I just want to keep my 5 best guys on the field.
Who do you have winning this one, and what is your score prediction? All of this leads to the Rams for me, but then sometimes there could be a trap game. I still think it could be high scoring. I'm gonna say 28-21 for the Rams. What's your prediction?
I think the thing here is, I mean, Sunday night. So I think we're all hoping maybe there's going to be a little magic here, right?
Yeah.
If you wanna, if you're Tampa and you wanna build up your hopes, Baker just got the news. What does every father wanna know? That, "Hey, not only do I have a great daughter, I'm also gonna get a son." Like that type of stuff. This is stuff, sure,
Right.
look, we were sickos back in the day when we used to bet. We used to try the God factor, any type of thing that maybe talked you into a bet. He is Baker Mayfield. He has
Yep.
fear of no one. And I think going against a guy like Matt Stafford, who everybody views as a guy who will be in the Hall of Fame one day, that
Mhm.
drives a guy like Baker Mayfield even more. All these things being said, I think it's a really tough spot for Tampa, and it would not surprise
Yeah.
me if you're talking somewhere. I think Tampa's gonna go in and fight. They're gonna battle.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just
They
not
always
necessarily
do.
sure they have it. So if you told me 31-24, 31-26, I think this is one the Rams are gonna walk away with, and then all of a sudden, that NFC South becomes really, really interesting.